the K510 Tendrite finally got announced.
Already?
Yeah, it was on CNX Software. I was reading about it
Nice.
on. So the is this the new? No, this is old. Let's see. That is from a long time ago. Actually, the company's which just confuses me because the whole time I was thinking the company was Tendrite, but actually, the company's not Tendrite. It's oh, this is the one from May. The company's name Canaan,
Mm-hmm.
and then I guess this is the Canaan Tendrite 510. So they finally announced it. It has DRAM finally.
Yeah, we really need the DRAM.
So it is a dual core 800 megahertz. So I guess double the clock speed of the what was the old chip?
210.
210.
Yes.
So the K210. So it's double clock speed, but then the other big difference is it has DDR3 512 megabytes, right? So like it's interesting because it's so kind of similar to like the D1, right? Like their lower end low cost SoCs, but this is dual core, which is kind of interesting because I mean it's clocked slower than the D1, but I could see a lot of cases where having two cores could be advantageous. Oh, Andes, yeah.
Oh, it has an underscore inside. Wow. Well, that's nice.
That would make sense. I was talking to Andes way back at like Embedded World before the pandemic, and they were saying they had a customer in China that was go into mass production, but that it was probably going to be delayed by the pandemic. So that makes sense. So yeah, this is cool. I think it's nice. We have this coming out, and there's already the All-Winner D1. So they're both, I imagine, pretty low cost. Like this dev board, I think it's somewhere in here. It's very expensive. It's like a fully featured low quantity dev board, but I'm sure we'll see once the chip's actually available. I'm sure we'll see. Yeah, like you can. I forget. It was like $200 for this board, but this board's obviously one of those like expensive EVMs and not like. Yeah, you can get the board for $200, but I think. I assume when the chip's available in quantity, we'll start seeing boards from all the usual companies like Cipid, and it looks like there's actually like documentation to some extent.
I really wished would like to have unified, strong, maintained RISC-V Linux rootfs for this kind of the board, like a Raspberry Pi, Raspbian for Raspberry Pi. And that doesn't have to be Raspbian, but
well, what about build root?
Yeah, build root. So build root is the person who is very technical is all right with the build root or using YAXO. They could do them by itself, and who is more skilled person he could spin OpenWRT on RISC-V. But most of the real reason of the Raspberry Pi being so popular is Raspberry Pi organization distribute Raspbian on their website, and they keep adding the security patches and updating. So nobody have to have a knowledge of the building the rootfs. Only could start from writing Python and do something with a LED or stuff.
But I think we get a similar effect, like with all the RISC-V boards that exist right now. Like there's Fedora that you can run on them, and then I think Debian. I mean, we don't have that many boards that are available yet. But I think it's actually good. I think one of the problems with the Raspberry Pi is like they went off and they started off with their own variant of Debian because they originally had that ARM v6 core. They wanted to recompile everything, but I think it's kind of like I think it's better to just run Fedora or Debian.
So typical Fedora or typical Debian itself is meant to be for regular desktop PC, desktop Linux or server Linux. So it has a, it's a, it takes, it's a large set of the distro compared to Raspbian. It's more like it only has a minimum boot time.
Well, there's
So
different, I mean, there's different spins, right?
yeah, different speeds, yes. So so it will, my thought is always having a good center place, could be RISC-V International or someplace, hosting a Debian with a minimized Debian, with customized Debian with the minimization, with running on those three RISC-V deadboard without any modification, and just DD or use the SD card writer on the Windows or on Mac OS, then it will probably be much easy, better to get the attention, because even the ARM, there's many similar dev board to Raspberry Pi called something Pi.
Yeah.
And many of them not really getting attention because they don't supply the Debian or Raspberry Pi or Fedora. They have to, the user have to build from scratch from build root or Yocto or something.
I think it depends on how popular it is. So
Yeah,
for some of
so
those boards, for some of the rock chip boards, and for some
yeah,
of the other boards, like I mean, they do get support.
yeah, I
for those, but
understand.
it depends, right? Because
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
long tail of
yeah.
single board computers.
So when I was in Linaro, I saw the popularity was a chicken and egg situation. So the reason, even the RISC Linaro had a 96 port program. So the biggest advantage of the Raspberry had was they offer off-the-shelf Raspbian, and the 96 port and other from Asastic, and yeah, didn't have it. So that did hurt the popularity in the beginning. Yeah. And if once get the popularity, then everybody will jump in. So it makes many things easier. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think once the RISC-V platform spec is finished, they should hopefully make doing things like that easier.
Yeah.
So that you could make a RISC-V image that could
Yeah,
run
yeah,
multiple
RISC-V
boards,
image.
you know. Like it'll take some time because we'll have to have RISC-V boards come out that support the platform spec. But once that happens, I think it'll be a lot easier, right? Instead of everyone having to build a separate image for every single RISC-V dev board. So I could see projects like that to be much simpler, like in a year or two, once we have more platform standardization. This documentation looks pretty good. It's funny that it says confidential on it, but it was linked to from the CNX story, which is like kind of fine to be. I mean, that's kind of the case with Allwinner as well, whereas like all the data sheets for all the Allwinner parts, you can find them on the Sunzi wiki, and they always have watermarks on them, but no one seems to really care. So it's kind of like this odd thing. I don't know. Someone told me once it's like the SoC companies don't mind it because it allows programmers to have the information without it being like, without them directly hosting it, right? Because I think, I don't know, a couple SoC vendors that I've worked with were very concerned about what they could include in the documentation because they had licensed stuff from third parties, right? And they were very afraid about like putting any details about the IP blocks that they licensed into the documentation for their SoC. So I think essentially like leaking it like this is maybe one way to get around that, right?
Yes.
It's like, well, we didn't release it. It just it ended up on the internet.
Yeah, it's
somehow
coincidentally on the internet. Yes.
Yeah. But this looks pretty good. I mean, people complain a lot about not having good data sheets for SoCs from some of these smaller companies, but this looks pretty good to me. Like I think who knows if it's correct or not, but this looks like all the sort of stuff you would need to both lay out a board and probably Get drivers working. I don't know. I didn't see any register sets in here, but I'm sure they're in here some ways. I mean, it's quite a large document, so.
Yeah, 500 over 500
Refer
pages.
to the programming guide.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was working in the Japanese company, they really do not see the importance of the releasing document for the software engineer. Yeah, their culture, they make a hardware and they don't even tell how to poke the resistor to the software engineer, but magically expect software engineer to make it work. It's really difficult to persuade changing the culture of their mindset. And once able to persuade, for example, company like a Renesas or Fujitsu Semiconductor or Socionext, next barrier is more higher. All the SoC have other companies as peripheral, for example, USB or PCI bus or DDR5 or some other peripheral in their SoC. Those peripheral companies don't really understand why they have to supply information to the software engineer. Absolutely none.
Right.
No, yeah. And more reason, it seems like if they release the documentation, they were afraid of having a question from a software engineer to the USB chip or something, which is not going to happen at any, but they just, yeah, so they have to, yeah, so probably really, yes, sneaking the documentation on some kind of the website coincidentally.
This actually looks pretty good. This is
yeah.
on GitHub, I guess, by the company, and looks like they actually have like Markdown for a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
System memory map. This looks pretty good. This is kind of like, I feel like this is a lot of the stuff that people ask for that it usually is like very difficult to get published.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not K9510. Yeah, that's
I'm not sure exactly what this means. Like, I was looking this yesterday. I was a little confused by this. I mean, it's also in Chinese, but it's like, so it has 512 megabytes of memory. So like 240 megabytes are for the Linux kernel, and then 256 is for a shared memory CMA pool for like DMA. But then I'm wondering, like, are they including user space in 240? It's kind of unclear to me.
These are designed by the hardware engineer, which who assuming how does not much have a,
this is the device tree.
I see.
So it's
yeah,
like,
but probably need to, probably need to expand the memory size from 240 megabyte for Linux kernel.
I think they just went really, they just really decided to allocate a lot of memory, more than half the memory to CMA pool.
CMA, yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess depending on what they're doing, like I saw there was a demo of doing face detection, and I think there's some sort of neural network accelerator. So I could see that they need large buffers to do DMA between like the accelerators and other things in the chip. I guess it only has 512 megabytes of memory. But I guess also for other applications, you just delete this and then you'd have more memory for Linux.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a pretty large allocation proportionally based on the amount of memory that's in the system. But I don't know, this looks pretty interesting. Like here, kernel developers guide. This is pretty good. Like the chip just barely came out and there's already this up on the web. I mean, this is the thing I always tell vendors too. It's like I've had several SoC vendors that are in China tell me like, oh, well, it's the documentation is in Chinese, and I always say like, well, that's okay. Like publish it anyways, right? Because either we can use translate, or there's plenty of people like Uefi who can help translate it, right?
and we would so yeah.
And even without that, like some of the stuff, like you don't need to be able to read the
Yeah.
Chinese to understand
Yeah.
device tree properties here.
Yeah. JTAG, eMMC, yeah. Watchdog timer.
Looks pretty good. I'm quite curious to see what pricing would be like on the chip. I mean, the K210 was really affordable, so
Mhm.
be interesting to see what the price ends up being and how it compares to the D1. I'm assuming, I don't know, I don't know what the pricing is at D1, but I mean, there's boards that are like $20 with it, so it must be,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm guessing it's like maybe probably less than $5 for the SoC, I would guess.
Mm. For the K510, it looks like it's going to cost a little more, but yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to know right now,
it's-
but
yeah.
I mean, it's modest in terms of its specs.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm imagining we'll hopefully see like $20 boards with this, like
Mhm.
kind of like we did with the what I do. I mean, I guess with the DDR memory, supply chain suck now, so I could see the cost maybe being higher than it would otherwise be because of the memory, and then who knows if 512 megabyte DDR LPDDR3 is expensive or not
Mhm.
right now. So I guess
No,
hard to know.
512 DDR3 is not that expensive now, but yeah, but
I would hope
probably
not, but you never
probably but still seems like it's close to $100, $80 or something. Yeah.
the I haven't gotten any of these yet, but I think this is quite interesting board. Oh, I guess you can't see here. This is a pretty cute one, I think. This is with the L1 or D1.
Yeah. Jim is pasting on the chat that the K520 using Andes SDK for build root.
Okay. Cool. Oh, well, I guess that's that makes it pretty clear.
Yeah, I wish I have the web browser or anything or regular Facebook or anything. If I log in with Japanese, my language, it tried to translate from Chinese to Japanese, which is not don't have a good translation. Chinese to English is much better quality. Yeah, always copy and paste and then put it on a different window and then switch it to Chinese to English, which is normally fine. Yeah. And some of the noun is Japan and Chinese uses the same Chinese character, so that's okay. But if it's a sentence, yeah, I really can't understand. Yeah.
Did you mean that, so there's characters that are similar between
Yeah, because Japanese language itself is grammatically it's completely different language, has nothing close, really different between Chinese and Japanese. But Japanese did not have a writing for a very long time. So first thing we was to use Chinese character to describe Japanese. And then we simplified it and have started to have Japanese kind of alphabet. But writing in Japanese alphabet and everything is does not sound nice in Japanese culture. Using more Chinese character as much as possible in the writing is more feel like a formal or academic or something. Yeah, like having more Latin or Greek in the English is a kind of more, yeah, have a same effect. So many of the noun is imported from the Chinese characters. It itself is used at the same meaning and using same character. And however, Japan is kindly mostly using the historical Chinese character shape, but the mainland China is simplified a lot. So now matching the simplified character and the conventional character is the main barrier for me. Yeah.
So is there I guess there's Unicode code points for all the characters now, right?
Yeah. Unicode, yes. So it's if we use UTF-8, Unicode, we could use everything on the Chinese character and Japanese character, both mixed in the documentation Word or web browser and anything. Yeah.
Nice. The other thing I'd seen this week was
The MIPS.
supposedly MIPS now has the highest performance RISC-V cores.
Yes, nice.
So I mean, it's just like IP. So I don't know. Well, I don't know exactly how you characterize that, but like it seems like it's a pretty capable thing. 16 stage out of order. So I think the C910 from T-Hide was a 12 stage out of order, but I didn't see any benchmarks in here, but they claim it's very high end. So we'll see. I guess it'll come down to what customers they end up getting and what the customers do with it. But I guess a lot of people think it's interesting that MIPS has gotten rid of MIPS and how they're doing RISC-V.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So now actually we have H is an official letter now, huh? So we have RV64GHC for hypervisor.
H is the hypervisor extension. I see. Oh, having a physical chip with a hypervisor extension will be, it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sci-Fi has IP with a hypervisor now too, so I guess it just takes some time for one of their customers to actually use that IP and take it out. So, because I think all the hypervisor stuff that's been done so far is any of this that was actually in hardware was just FPGAs. But I mean, it was just ratified in December, so I imagine it will take a while for there to be a chip with it, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Seems like it takes a long time for things to come out, but these are like very complicated chips that need lots of validation. So I guess we just have to be patient.
Yeah. Well, regardless, MIPS, using RISC-V is very good news. Yeah, more engineering effort on RISC-V.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, I don't know if you were able to catch any of the Paris stuff. I tried to, but it was like not great for the US time zone. So but there was a lot of good talks from the RISC-V Paris last week. And actually, let's see. Which I didn't really realize until it was happening that it was a 3-day in-person event. So there was actually a lot of stuff there, including unfortunately this was at like 3 a.m. so I missed it, but Nick, who does a lot of kernel stuff, he gave a talk about demystifying RISC-V Linux, and he has the slides, which is nice. So I looked through this a few days ago. It was interesting. I thought this was interesting, the comparison of Arch compared to the rest of the kernel. And RISC-V comes in at a small 23,000 lines.
Yeah.
I've been trying to understand why people need the 57 bits of virtual address space, but I guess it's just so that like applications can like map huge amounts of like big
Mhm.
giant files, I suppose. I don't know. It seems like because it's I looked it up, it was like 128 petabytes.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it's like, for the future, maybe no one's using that now, but
Probably it's for a specification have RV64 and now having a specific RV128.
yeah.
And then similar for SV39 is enough for more than enough typically, and 48 and then 57, 50. Yeah. Oh, it's not bad having a larger number especially for marketing perspective. Yes.
The default is 550 gigabytes of virtual address space,
Uh-huh.
and then the 48. I think
47.
this one was like 2 terabytes. I think it was something like that. But it's yeah.
Well,
And I think
sometimes,
it's virtual. It's virtual address space. I think so.
yes.
It's like how much address space user space gets per process.
Mhm.
This one I'm always confused by, this naturally aligned powers of 2. Like I think it's just a way of saving space with the way they do encoding, but I always have to look it up because
Which one?
it was a new extension, the SVNAPOT. It's the naturally aligned powers of 2. It was in the new privilege
I see.
spec. I think it's a way to encode memory spaces more easily, or with like having to take up less space.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to take a closer look at the new privilege spec. There's a lot of things I'm not familiar with. Though the page-based memory types, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Heiko just posted the version 10 of that, which is maybe the last version.
17, 8. I forgot.
Well, I think it's probably too late for this merge window, right? But and maybe for the next one. So maybe well, it's probably too late actually for 519 because I mean, we're a few weeks away from 518 getting released. So I don't know, but where is it? Yeah. So this is a really important one because the D1 needs this to boot.
Yes.
So this
With the stock Linux kernel. Yes.
yeah, and this is version 10, and version 9, it seemed like a discussion like died down. So it seems like, well, it like last year, like during Plumbers last year, it was very controversial, but it seems like now it's kind of settled down, and it seems like most of the people I've seen commenting seem relatively happy now. So maybe version 10 will be the last, but I guess we'll find out. Oh, and then it'll be interesting when chips come out that actually implement the standard, right? Instead of that implement the actual standard for the page-based memory types. That'll be good to see. It's basically all the new stuff that's in the privilege spec that was ratified in December. So I guess the IP providers probably all have it in their IP now, but I presume it'll be a while before any customers make chips with that. But I thought this was yeah, I thought it was pretty good slides. I'm eager for it to show up on YouTube so I can watch it. But yeah, there's definitely some good bits in here. The new stuff with the new advanced interrupt architecture stuff.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the difference between a click.
Oh yeah. So this might.
And I
Actually, this was
also
really good. This was Anoop's talk from the summit, but essentially there used to be the Sci-Fi Clint, I think, and that's been replaced by the A Clint, which has a backwards compatibility mode, but essentially it has like more efficiencies. Like one of them is to like let supervisor mode do more things, so it doesn't have to keep on asking SBI to do certain things.
I see, I see.
But the other big thing with the AIA is that it adds message signal interrupts, which are needed for PCI Express. So with AIA, it has the message signal interrupts. So it seems like it addressed a lot of the shortcomings that were in the original Clint and Click, so that people could build like proper like server class hardware now with these new standards. There's a similar thing. I mean, everything I've seen is just you can run it in. There's patches for QEMU, but I don't even think it's been ratified yet. So
yeah, I think I saw the message that the QEMU started to have AIA.
Yeah, they maintain patch series for QEMU. So that, like, I think, well, Anoop I think works on it. So he has branches to have Linux run in QEMU with the AIA and the ACLIN. But I don't think those have been fully ratified yet. They probably won't merge that until that happens. Oh, I saw this just happen recently, that they needed to add a protocol to Uefi, which my understanding of protocol is basically like a function call in Uefi. And it was like very simple. It was like this very official document, and it just adds one thing, which is basically the heart ID, so that the OS can know which heart booted the system. And I saw that just passed public review, so that's getting closer to being official.
Oh, I see. Well,
I used to do this weird thing back in the day where like they would like one heart would end up booting the system. Like they'd all try, and then one would boot.
Yes.
And that was a long time ago, before the newer versions of SBI.
Yeah. Yes, it's kind of a lottery selection, which which wasn't my preferred, but yes.
When I talk about SBI, I should actually start mentioning that there's other things than just OpenSBI. Because I guess there's a few, like when I look at the SBI spec, there's other implementation IDs, but I not really ever checked out what they are.
Yeah, I saw somebody was writing that SBI written in Rust.
Yeah, the Rust people, seems like there's always a lot of people doing stuff with Rust.
And I
think it's one of the other guys that does a lot of stuff, Daniel. Forget his last name, but I think, well, he works on Orboot, which is a Rust bootloader. Let's see.
A very, very nice slide from Nick.
Yeah,
as if it took humongous time, effort preparing this.
Looks like the Uefi got out of his meeting. Yeah, it looks real good. I've been meaning to go through these in more detail.
And what was the famous one? And the UEFI implementation was
Oh,
core boot.
yeah, core boot on the PCs, and then Jim
Uh,
just reminded me that it's Daniel Maslowski, who's the
Uh-huh.
person that works on Orboot, and he's the one he's really active in the he's really active in that Telegram channel. Are you in that Telegram for the main line on the D1?
No, not really.
D1 Telegram. I have it. Maybe that's not. No. Oh, actually, Fue was asking for the, how do I get the Zoom link? I guess this is it. Here we go. Oh, no, that's the wrong window. Here we go. I click this, will it give me this? Oh, where do we? Huh. Well, there must be a way to invite someone to a Zoom when I'm in the Zoom, right? Meeting info. Oh, here we go. Copy link. All right, I think Fue should be joining us shortly. I'm pretty sure I have it in slides from my recent talk. If you're not in it, it's a pretty good group. I don't look like at every single message, but there's a good amount of stuff happening in it. Daniel's really active on there. Let me do a search in here for Telegram. Yeah, here it is.
Oh,
So that's the Telegram group for the All-Winter D1, and it's about like it's kind of like a RISC-V chat. So like they'll talk about things more than RISC-V things more than just the D1, but is mainly focused on the D1.
Telegram.
Oh, Fue's in here now, or wait, Fu.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm late for this, and
Oh,
is that I'm late? So just 4 of us.
Yeah, it's small today. But Akira's been on. We were looking at the upcoming Tokyo conference, and we saw you have a talk.
Yeah. For me, I do have some good news to say. Recently we are trying to enable Genome desktop, and it seems to work. So our goal will be enable Genome desktop and LXQT desktop but at the end of this month, before the end of this month. So we can have more beautiful desktop, and then we can try to make an image for D1. So Fedora 36 D1 and different desktop. So that's my goal at the end of this week, this month. Sorry. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
And then your talk is like at the beginning of June, I think, first week of June. It looked like.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and then we were also talking about the one of the things this week was the Tendrite 510 was announced. Which looked pretty interesting. Oh, and we were looking at they actually have a fair amount of documentation online, but it's all in Chinese, which is, I mean, not surprising, which is great because I've always said, I mean, well, I'm happy they did it because it's like oftentimes I've heard vendors say like, well, well, it's not translated yet, and it's like I'd rather have something that's not translated right than nothing. So
and you may know the core come from Andes, so they are Chinese they are Taiwan companies, so they still using Chinese. So yeah, It makes sense. But if you need anything they haven't translate, maybe I can have a look and see, yeah, what I can help. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they did a pretty good job with like with it just having been released. Like it looks like there's a good amount of information for it. Like they have a build root that's from Andes, and then I'm not sure exactly what this says, but I'm assuming it means that it can run Ubuntu.
Sorry, again?
Does this say that it can run Ubuntu?
No. It say if you want to run it, the development environment is Ubuntu.
Oh,
it doesn't mean they can
okay.
run
Your
Ubuntu.
host,
Okay.
your host PC. Okay.
Yeah, probably it's build machine. Would
Okay,
be
build
Ubuntu
machine.
18.0 and 20.04.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
But,
of course you can do it on Fedora.
yeah. So are we gonna have Fedora on the K510?
I haven't, tried to contact with them and to got a. Is that on sale or
It
on the
is.
market?
Yes.
Okay.
We were looking at this story on CNX software.
Their kernel is too old. It's 4.17, right?
I'm not sure. Well, let me go back. Jim had the
The document you just opened.
Oh, did it say that?
The document you just opened in
it does say 417.
Yeah. Here. Going down, I saw that.
Does this mean
Here. This kernel. It's very old kernel.
Oh, okay. It says so that's saying it's 417 kernel.
Yeah, this kernel, I don't think it can. I'm not sure if it can run with current distro like Arch, Gen 2, Fedora or something. So yeah, they need to upgrade
I
it.
agree. That's quite old. It's not even 4.19, which was an LTS. So
Yeah.
4.17, that's
you wanted to use that like the D1 or Starfire, something like that. Like you can start with U-boot, run Genome, run how to say, OpenSBI, U-boot, and grab and kernel. You need at least more than 5.10, more than that. So this old kernel may make a lot of problem, and I'm not sure why they still keep that old.
We just need a engineering team to make things upstream. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they need that.
Many of the SoC company or semiconductor company, they make the one-shot porting kernel and that's it. So which is
for this very old kernel, at least a month. For a small team, like if we took this job, at least a month to handle the whole all the source code.
Oh yeah, there it is. Custom version 417. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not great, but I imagine it's what they maybe got handed at the time from Andes. Like I imagine Andes maybe hopefully has more up-to-date support.
That could be a little problem. Some company get some people from Andes, and Andes, some people quit from Andes, and including, So I hope they can upgrade the kernel for this chip, and make sure it can run at least more than version 5 kernel.
There was someone, was it there was someone that did stuff, was a maintainer.
It was Green Time before.
Oh, Green Time. Oh, okay.
It was Green Time before. I'm not sure it's still, but
oh, it's Sci-Fi. Oh, wait.
Yes, this one.
Okay, so with Sci-5 now, I guess. I
Oh,
was just trying to.
So-
I remember you used
so
to see.
is
Rick
it-
Chan. Rick Chan. Yes. He was a maintainer.
Yes. It was a maintainer. It's still in the kernel. How to say? Maintainer that file.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. For U-boot stuff, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ah, it's Andy's tech. That's right. Looks like there's some people. Not a lot.
Yeah. Thanks
Not,
for
not a
the.
lot, but some.
This
Oh, well, yeah. It seems that they maybe don't do a lot of upstream work. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Alright.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
I guess kernel mailing list is a good way for people to know who to recruit.
So and another maybe that cause another problem. So if you don't work with upstream, the kernel still stand the same. If no one really wanted to do this job and no one want to upgrade, yeah. So that old kernel, I just doubt if no one really upgraded, how many kernel, how many distro will support this board?
Yeah. Well, I think probably not now, but I imagine once there's something that's cheaper, right? Like when Cipid makes a board with it, then I could see people I'm sure people will get Linux working on it, right? I mean, I'm sure people will get upstream working on it, right? Because like once it's cheaper, but like right now for $200, I imagine there's probably not too many people that are gonna order it, right?
I'm not sure if CB will make a board for that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if there is a cheap board, then I'm sure people will figure out how to get stuff to run. I mean, the K210, you know, it was made to do all sorts of stuff that it probably was not really meant for, right?
Yeah.
Though 8 MB of memory was too small for Fedora, I guess, right?
8 megabyte. Oh my god. D1 is more than 1 gigahertz.
Yeah. So so this one has 512 MB of memory. Is that enough for Fedora?
Sorry. How much?
512.
Where is the data?
No, the main memory.
Main memory.
Oh, okay.
DDR.
500 megabyte can work, no problem at all. Even you can enable X-Face desktop, no problem at all. Yeah, we have tried that.
Okay. So you could potentially run Fedora on the K510.
Yes. But the
Not much.
the how to say, the frequency is too low, maybe very slow, very slow. You know, 800 megahertz.
Yeah.
And that's a single core, right? Dual core.
It's
Okay,
dual
dual
core.
core is much better.
Dual core.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
saying I think it's kind of interesting because I mean the board's expensive, but I'm sure the K510 chip is probably pretty low cost in quantity, right? So it's kind of interesting because it's a little slower clock speed than the D1, but it's dual core, right? So you could see it actually being probably much more powerful depending on what you're doing, right? Than the D1, right? Like I guess if you're running a single threaded application, then the D1 would potentially be better, but you know, a lot of things we are going to have multiple threads running, right? Or at least, you know, Linux is going to be using 2 processors if they're available. So it might be, you know, I can see it having better performance than the D1.
Yes, if that is dual core, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it really depends. Like, I don't know all the details, and obviously no one's done benchmarks yet. And then, you know, they have this other processor on it as well, a DSP processor. But then there, it really depends on like whether or not any software that you want to run can make use of it, right? It's the same thing with, you know, like the D1 has the pre-spec vector, right? Which is potentially pretty powerful, but then it comes down to if any software you want to use actually supports that or not, right?
Because it's come from Andes, so it include the DSP.
Yeah.
Which maybe the other expectation. How to say? Another structure for especially for DSP. So maybe it can performance like D1 or better than that. Maybe.
Yeah.
And probably the Andes have, which is the pronunciation anyway. Andes core is probably, it's more generic with the RISC-V specification. Now probably don't have a special page table stuff or something. Probably it's more, probably it's easier to match the main upstream kernel if they do doing the upstream work, if we could work on it.
Yeah, RISC-V DSP, I'm guess. So actually maybe because Andes has their own PACS SIMD extension, I think. Doesn't Andes
yes. Andes have their SIMD extension.
P extension.
But I think that's different from the DSP. I think the Andes core have a dedicated accelerator called as a DSP, other than the CPU ISA extension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think the P stands for.
Is that on sale? When have anyone bought it?
No.
No.
It's not. That's
it's
something
just announced.
Yeah, this is the first I saw.
Okay, sure.
It was 2 days ago.
Okay, sure. I will try to ask them directly, see if I can, try to.
Typically, shipping from mainland China to Japan is very good. Used to be, until the Shanghai lockdown. The port seems to be closed. But yeah, so maybe Uefi is maybe easier to faster to get the board. Yeah.
Maybe if they have.
Yes, maybe not. Yes, yeah.
So there's some videos with like dogs and animals, I guess. Yeah. So this is like YouTube, I guess, so similar to YouTube.
Wow, K10. Uefi, what was the meaning before the K10 alphabet in the
Tendrite, their company's name.
Oh, Tendrite was the in the Chinese character. I see.
Yeah, that's a character for lab, but Tendrite, I think Tendrite is not Chinese. It's English. I don't know what it means, but that means the character of Chinese means intelligent.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
intelligent.
The name of the company is Canon. Is that right?
Yeah.
So is Tendrite like? Was Tendrite?
Tendrite is a chip's name. It's chip's name.
Okay.
So it's a brand, kind of.
Yeah. Canon is their company's name. Okay. So K510 is the Chinese character before that is Tendrite, their chip name.
Okay.
Whole name.
I see. Yeah, Jintai is same as Japanese, and Saidai is same, but most of the others is yeah. I need it.
That's interesting. So there's
Uh,
like videos of
Is this using OpenCV or
I don't know. It doesn't
it looks like OpenCV of detection? It
It
could be
doesn't
using
say.
different one.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say in there.
I see.
Tendrite. Yeah. Okay. Stop. You can see Tendrite.
Here?
No. Right before you change that, the code name of the chip. That's the English.
Oh, the video?
Yeah.
Does it say
Video.
Tendrite?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
Good.
at the end of the. Okay. Stop here.
Okay.
Tendrite. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do the Chinese characters mean Tendrite or?
Yes.
Okay.
The pronunciation is the same.
Oh, I see. And then it means intelligent.
Yes. Kind of explore or investigate, explore intelligence, something like
I
that.
see. In Japan, the first character means second the character means intelligence, yes, and the first one means more like a hunch.
What?
A hunch,
Tracing something and try to get something, right?
yeah, guessing, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like this, yes.
I see. Then the meaning, the character meaning is similar. Then just the how to read it is couldn't understand in Japanese. I see.
Yeah, right.
I see.
It's pretty cool. You
Yeah.
can make a wireframe of the
Wireframe.
fingers.
Actually, this function has been used on K210
Okay.
already. So let's just use the same, maybe the same software or something. Because K2010 210 is RISC-V 64 without DDR controller, and this one includes the DDR controller, so they can use kind of a same software with the previous version, so quite easy.
Right.
How can I save the chat log?
Let's see.
I'm trying to copy and paste, but somehow Zoom doesn't let me copy.
Okay, so I can save a chat.
Oh, I see.
Show in folder. So I think it saved it to my local computer. Let's see. It says I can also send it somewhere. Oh, let me just send it there. Yeah, it looks like I can download it. Let's see. What if I make it a GitHub gist? That maybe would work. Open. Can't type. All right, I'm gonna put it on as a GitHub gist. So there's the link to it, or you can just go to like PDP-7.
Oh yeah.
GitHub gist.
Yeah, thank you. I have
to get it there. Oh, maybe I should make it markdown so you can actually click on the links.
I made to download the log now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I guess it's also a feature that's built into it.
Wait, who is here?
It's just Jim, me, and Akira, and you. It's small today.
Whoa. Wait, wait,
I mean, Wei Wu has joined us.
wait, just
Oh, really?
joined.
Oh,
Yeah, wait,
cool.
just joined us.
Too
Yeah.
many. I have too many windows open.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello. Nice.
Yeah, sorry I'm coming late. I just forgot. Yeah, it happened this week.
Well, I also joined late. I had another meeting in front of this. So. And
We had been talking about the
yeah.
K510.
And now I have my shirt on. Before that, I was in pajama. So yeah. Yeah, we were talking about K510 came out 2 days ago. Yeah, we are excited about, and other discussion was MIPS decided to use RISC-V. That's also a good news. Yeah, and also we talked about Tokyo RISC-V Day. And what else did we talk? Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at the schedule.
Yeah, yeah, event
Tokyo.
schedules. Yes. Yeah, Uefi was in the talk in the Tokyo Day.
I haven't replied the email to send my information to the organizer, so I'm not sure. You know, if that is, I hope if it's not too late. So I trying to done that today.
Oh, so they put your name on it before you reply to it.
Before I provide more information like the bio or something like that.
Bio, I see.
Yeah, something like
those
that.
are fine. Those are fine.
Yeah.
And then we went through K10 kernel situation. Yes. Yeah, we using 4.
You can buy it on Taobao, I guess. Well, maybe you are interested about that. You can buy it easily.
Yeah, let's see, where'd that link go?
Yeah, this one.
It's sold on Analog Lamb.
Wait, is it possible to buy at your place for this K510 board?
Yes. I think so. Yes, we can buy that.
Yeah, no, but is it is buying Uefi or Uefi will be easier to get this shipped?
You mean ship to Japan?
Yeah, that's true.
No, shift it to your place, because probably shifting to my place, it might get delayed until the port in Shanghai reopens.
Yeah, that's true.
For us, it's okay. I can buy it directly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
well, maybe I can buy a few of them and put in RISC-V lab. So
yeah.
so that maybe you after we set it up, you can log into the machine and access it remotely.
Yes. For example, if it's going to be shipped from Shenzhen, then probably it's okay to get it in.
So yeah, basically we are sharing the same situation. So we have some image boss was located in Shanghai, so we're still waiting more than 6 weeks, and continue waiting. And the other version 5 was located at Shenzhen. So I already got a few of them.
I see.
Yeah, also from the same company. Yeah, and I do have a few updates of the RISC-V lab. So basically the RISC-V lab is just building the ability to try to flash that kernel and put it remotely, and trying to redirect the output of the HDMI signal to the USB and transfer to the users that using SSH login. So hopefully that before the next open hours, we will be able to debug the kernel remotely on MH board.
Cool. That's great. Well, that does remind me, I won't be around on the next one in the Asia time zone, which is June 8th. So
Yeah.
Would you be able to host that one?
Yeah, I'm glad to, and I'm sure that I will not forget next time.
I'll send
At
it.
least Uefi has will have a
Yeah.
remember it.
I'll send an email about it. Yeah, I realize I'll be at my company's office in France that week. Well, that's cool. So you'll finally have some remote access to the farm, to the test lab.
Yeah. So at that time, that we will be able to. Well, currently we just allow the applications to be built, but not the kernels and the U-boot. In 2 weeks, I think that maybe we can also have some modification for the boot steps. But I don't know how to say it exactly. But yeah, something like that.
Cool. Great. Looks like we had a couple other people jump on as well.
Yeah, so yeah, for the Beijing RISC-V lab, we are still waiting. We need to wait to the Shanghai reopened, and so we can get the 100 MH board.
Oh, see it because you can't get in there currently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So where you're located in China right now? Are you on lockdown or for the
Yeah,
quarantine,
I'm Hangzhou, which is
Okay.
not locked down, so I can go freely.
Good. That's good. Do you have you heard anything about the RISC-V summit in this summer in China?
Yeah, so basically, I'm one of the main organizers of the RISC-V Summit China this year,
Okay.
and basically, we're just preparing and trying to fix the date. We used to set up dates on July, but apparently, based on current situation in mainland China, we have to delay or postpone to August, to the late August. So
Okay.
the date is not fixed yet. We are discussing with the RISC-V International, and hopefully that we can have some conclusion or formal compilation from the RISC-V International to determine whether the date and the style. So last year we are going to a hybrid, so we both have a online and in-person conference, and this year the form is the style is not determined yet. So
Okay.
yeah, we still with some need to discuss with the RISC-V International.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But I personally, I'm very optimistic that maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and by the end of May, that the CFP called papers and talks will be open, so
Okay.
that we can yeah.
Looks like some of that we have a couple other people that have joined too. Is it lunchtime now in China? Like what time is it? Like 12 p.m. Oh,
Yeah.
almost.
Yes.
Not yet.
Yeah. It's not it's not exact not lunchtime, but close to.
Okay.
And I think that it's lunchtime for Akira.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Akira, you're always ahead of everyone.
Yeah, only 1 hour ahead, which is a nice thing if you want to buy new iPhone on earliest or something. Oh yeah, New Zealand is 1 hour more ahead than Tokyo. Yeah.
The thing is, it's almost like we need to have the ambassador call. We need to have one like in the evening here in America sometime, because it's like when's the ambassador call normally? It's like midnight or 1 a.m. or it's very late, right? When we normally do it with Megan. Yeah.
Well, it got better. It's now during the summertime, daylight saving time in US, then it will be 11 p.m. starting 11 p.m. here. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
11
and
PM
then
is
it's
better.
10 p.m. in China.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 10 p.m. But unfortunately, that I usually have have meeting conflicts at that time.
Oh.
Yeah. 9 o'clock or 10 p.m. or typically eat dinner outside or something, or difficult to attend. But 11 for me is fine. It was better than 1 a.m.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
1 a.m. in the winter time in US, it was 1 a.m. to 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Next day typically I was sleeping before the noon. Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have daylight savings time in Japan?
No, yeah, we don't.
Okay.
We used to. We used to around in 1950s, but they stopped it. And then before 5 or 10 years ago, Japan decided to reintroduce the summertime, but yeah, it didn't go well. I'm not nothing against with this summertime or daylight saving time.
We looks like we are getting rid of it here in the United States. Yeah, so I guess what year does it end? 20. Or maybe a better question is.
Well, it would have been nice if Japan was able to have the summertime before the Olympic last year or something. Yeah, because then shifting 1 hour earlier will be cooler for the athletes. So, but yeah, it didn't happen. So.
Oh, starting in 2023, daylight savings will be permanent. So I guess that means we won't be shifting back and forth. So it'll be like this always.
So
apparently.
always there's no winter time. Only
Yes.
always daylight saving time.
Yeah.
the-
So it'll. Yeah. My impression is it'll always be this delta. It'll always be this difference to what we have right now. Which
The
I
House
guess is-
hasn't approved the bill yet, though.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it hasn't happened yet. This almost seems like a joke. It's called the Sunshine Protection Act. Is this? I guess it's Reuters is a real website. I almost feel like I'm reading a joke website. It's called the Sunshine Protection Act. That's that's funny.
Well, all the countries have difficulty persuading huge number of people who won't agree. So the name started to get more fancy. I mean,
I think it's
yeah.
funny that there's a Wikipedia entry for it. Yeah, I mean, I do hate it when it gets dark out early, though. It is now that I work for our French company, I'm up early pretty much every day, so it is a bit annoying when you're up and it's still dark out. But yeah, I vote for it to always be summer. That would be nice. It wouldn't be fair to the lower hemisphere. Cool. Did anyone have anything else? I don't know. I guess we've been going on for coming up on 2 hours.
yeah. Any news with the new SoC JH7110?
I don't know. Anyone hear anything?
Yeah, it seems their chip will come back soon, and I will working on the kernel you boot, but not really for upstream. Just try to sort out the code and then deploy Fedora 36 on that and some other software development for this. So I think the development board will come out maybe in several months, and definitely in this year, of course. But because of the supply chain problem, so we don't know when we can get a development board maximum product. So
I see.
yeah, but the chip is nearly come back.
I see. Oh, really? I see. Well, that's good news.
I mean, the after it's a real chip. It's not a silicon, just already being packaged.
Oh, wow. Well, then we only need the board and soldering by hand, maybe.
Yeah, and
Soldering BGP package is a headache.
it seems the EVB has been designed, and the development board, the Vision 5 V2, maybe will start design.
Yeah. Also in Japan, having issue with the courier and shipping delays. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's like the worst. Well, last year was bad too, but it's such a difficult time to get things made.
Yeah. Even the connector inductor, which doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's having shortage. So.
Yeah, it's all sorts of stuff. It's a lot of it's like not even the stuff that shouldn't be a problem, right? All
Yeah,
of a
it
sudden,
shouldn't be a problem.
You can't get certain chip that you're.
Yeah.
It's like like you might have like your new SoC back, but you can't like the power management IC or a PHY or something like that. Yeah, I hope someday it ends. Let's get back to normal, but
yeah.
We'll see. Well, I have to get going soon, but I can leave it open if people want to stay around.
Well, I'm fine.
Okay.
I think it's nearly 2 hours now.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. Yeah.
Kind of a lunch time for us actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In China, normal lunch time will 12 is 11, 12 is normal lunch time.
Yeah.
It's not until 1 p.m. or something. It's too late for us.
Yeah, I usually so in my office there's so I will basically I'm the only one person in the office, so usually I just forgot to go lunch, and I usually I will go the after 1 p.m. So that's the restaurants will be empty, so I will be the only guest and get the best best service based on the response time.
It's
Yeah,
good
so-
to know all the different culture have a different priority for the lunch. I heard Spain is important. Japan, yeah, people skip the lunch very frequently. So, yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, by the way, so do we know that anyone was working on porting Lua-JIT right now?
Porting which one?
Yeah, Lua-JIT.
Lua, I see.
Yeah,
No.
I haven't heard anything.
So-
about Lua.
Yeah, we also meet this problem. When we build this, it doesn't support. Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
So yeah, it's the same question here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would normally ask you, wait, Wu, what was going on with that? So
yeah, so
I don't know.
yeah, basically so there was a volunteer, so started porting the Lua-JIT, but after a few weeks that he just realized that it's too hard to him, so he switched to another porting project. So and recently I want to find a new squad or the volunteer or paid staff to start the porting for the Lua-JIT. So before I restarted the project, I want to share that in this time during the past weeks. So if anyone had already working on it, and we do have some progress on the V8 project. The V8 project now it's porting for the RISC-V 32 backend. So the 64 backend is already go upstream and fully supported.
Cool, that's great.
Yeah. So then if the Chuji will be able to open your mic, you may share the status.
What's that? Oh,
Yeah, but I
Hi.
can't. Oh
everyone.
yeah.
Okay, I'm Chuji, and I will introduce the progress of the V8 for RISC-V for you. During the last 2 weeks, we a guy from Star5 who make a pull request to the Chromium project to enable the clone build of the Chromium embedded toolchain. It was merged, and then we can build the V8 or say the Chromium by clone. But the linker is still GNU-LD at the moment. Yeah, this is the progressing for the toolchain for the Chromium project, and also for V8, and also we have pushing forward the V8 for RISC-V 32G porting. At the current status is that we can run the Hello World demo in the interpreter mode for the RISC-V 32-bit, and JIT demo is also okay. We are still working for more benchmark test case to pass at the now. Yeah, that's all. That's all for the V8 status. Okay, wait.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so and after when we put in the go push forward the progress of Chromium project, we realized that the Debian is a dependency for the Chromium projects. So currently we now have staff working on help the Debian community to porting the remaining softwares and fixing the bugs. So and trying to put the RISC-V to the official supported architecture on the Debian projects.
Yeah. When building the Chromium with Clan, we still need the sysroot from Debian operating system, but RISC-V is still a candidate upstream architecture for Debian. So perhaps we need more working help from the Debian community. Yeah. And also the Google guys, to some extent, they don't agree. We still using the GNU-LD linker. They want to use as other architecture the same LLD from LLVM, but the LLVM still need some work, some patch to merge to make the LLD okay for V8. Yeah. So we need both the help from the Debian community and the LLVM community.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, so the basically is that the Google infra will provide some pre-built binaries for building Chromium, and the Google infra will pull some binary from the Debian repositories, and if we want to put make sure the Debian release or support or RISC-V, we may need to just go push the process of making RISC-V to be the official support architecture. So currently the RISC-V lab also supports some MH-board devices and trying to build it natively and provide some support on the infrastructure of the Debian community. And there are still a few software packages that need to be fixed or ported.
Yes, also for the CI.pub from PLCT, we are moved from GCC to Clan at the moment, using the GNU-LD for the daily regression of V8 in upstream for RISC-V 64. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe for lunchtime?
Okay, lunchtime.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, lunchtime.
All right. See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.
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 Bye.